All right. Good evening. I'm Michelle Rehill, Chairperson of the Board of Library Trustees. And I call the meeting to order when I get my correct thing at 7:04 p.m. First, I will read the usual. This open meeting of the Board of Library Trustees is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the town of Northborough has been advised excuse me, and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Board of Library Trustees are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Board of Library Trustees to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair votes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative for official attendance. Mitch Cohen.
Cohen, I'm here.
Jim Hogan.
Here.
Hamilton Soriano.
Here.
Nita Karanchkar.
I'm here.
Charles Recchia.
Charles Recchia here.
Joan Scott.
Joan Scott here.
Richard Tucker.
Richard Tucker here.
And I, Michelle Rehill, am here. All right. I have no opening remarks other than when I was reading the script, I really wanted to say, tell me if you've heard this one before. So that being said, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the April 13th meeting?
I'll move to approve the minutes of the April 13th meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. I was doing the second. Anyway.
Okay, yeah, you can have it, Nita.
Who wants to second it, really?
Doesn't matter.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. I will do a roll call vote. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented for the April 13th meeting. Mitch Cohen.
Mitch Cohen, aye.
Jim Hogan.
Jim Hogan, aye.
Hamilton Soriano.
Hamilton Soriano, I will abstain.
Nita Karanchkar.
Nita Karanchkar, aye.
Charles Recchia.
Charles Recchia, aye. Joan
Scott.
Joan Scott, aye.
Richard Tucker.
Richard Tucker, aye.
And Michelle Rehill also says aye. Wow. I can't even speak tonight. All right, we will go to the appropriations report. Does anyone have any questions or comments about the appropriations report for this month?
I have just one question for Jen. On the appropriations report, there's a number for new equipment. I was just wondering what that new equipment was.
Computer upgrades.
Okay, thanks.
All righty. Any other questions or comments?
Jen, just one more thing. Like, how many did we bought? Like separate machine?
Let me see. I've upgraded. It was mostly staff computers that were upgraded. A lot of them were running really slowly. And some of them on operating systems that were a little bit older than old. So I believe it was 1, 2, 5.
Okay.
And then we bought iPads for the self-checkout stations.
Okay. Got it.
And that was 3.
Oh, thanks.
Sure.
Alright.
And then I have a quick question. We, given everything that happened this year, if we come in under budget on various things, do we return that money to the town? Or do we have a strategy for dealing with that?
So Kate and Deborah and I sat down yesterday to go over this report and look at what was not yet invoiced that we still had outstanding, and some service calls that we still have to make. Like we still have to turn the HVAC from heat to cool. We had a bunch of light bulbs, a lot of light bulbs that were needed to be replaced over the last year. So I think they're still working on it. So they haven't sent an invoice. And then we looked at some of the materials orders that we've placed that just haven't come in yet. And we came up with a good plan for how to spend the rest of the money, which actually we're in a much better shape. It looks like we have a lot of money still to spend, but with what hasn't been invoiced yet, there's still quite a bit more that has already been committed. The salary line, we may not use all of that money, and we are not allowed to use that for operations. So that might get returned to the town. But I think given the pandemic and the kind of crazy year that everybody's had, I don't think that will be held against us in the future. But the operations budget will not get turned back over. It will be spent.
Thanks.
That's what we want to hear. All right, maybe not. All right, any other questions about the appropriations report? If not, we will move on to the library director's report.
So we have been reopened for just shy of 2 weeks. And it's going really well. We have not had any problems. I knew we would over prepare, but we definitely, because we thought of everything that we could possibly think of, it's made everything, I think, fairly smooth. There have been just minor adjustments to, for example, the greeter desk. We're not averaging anywhere near 25 people at a time. The highest I think has been 14. So we're a bit more relaxed. The circulation desk is sort of monitoring people as they come in to make sure that everybody's wearing a mask. We've not had any problems that I'm aware of with anybody not wearing their mask properly. Everybody's just really happy to be back. So we're looking at expanding the hours that we're open, because right now it's still fairly limited, but we'd like to expand it in June and just be open a little bit more in the afternoons and a second night. So we'll add Tuesday night back in. And then I think our hope is that everything stays good and that in July we'll be able to go back to our full operating hours. So if anybody has any questions, let me know.
Jen, do you think that it's been slow because people are not yet aware that the library is reopened?
That might be some of it. But from discussions that I've had with neighboring library directors, it's slow sort of everywhere, even in the places where they heavily advertised and have been open for several months now. They just are not seeing the numbers that they used to. I think a lot of this will depend on when people are fully vaccinated. And I know that our programming and some of the things that we offer, especially in the children's room, when those are able to come back and in-person meetings and programs can be held again, I think that'll bring people back in. But I think people's habits have changed a bit over the last year, and I think it's going to take a little while to see the numbers that we were getting before.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I know I never was much of an ebook reader, but now I think I've become a convert because it's just so easy. I
Yep.
can just, you know, I can decide at 10 o'clock at night that I'm ready to read a new book and.
Yeah,
boom,
and it's there. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the, to that point, we're looking at adding Hoopla, which I don't know if anybody's heard of it. Several other libraries in the area have it. And that's a streaming ebook, audiobook, music. And they have some movies, they have the great courses, and they have some TV show episodes. And the nice thing about Hoopla is it will complement Overdrive and Libby in that everything in their collection is always available. So we could all decide at 10 o'clock that we want to read the same book. And we could all check it out at the same time. So that's one of the things that we wanted to spend our materials budget on, and we had some extra. So
That's good. I've used that through the Boston Public Library.
mhm.
And quite often if I can't get an ebook anywhere else, or even, you know, there's wait lists through Overdrive at the BPL, I can
Mhm.
get it on Hoopla. So
Yep.
that does seem like a good addition.
Yeah, I think it'll be really, really popular.
Hmm. Great.
Does anybody else have questions or comments? I will just go
On
to
the entire director's report or just on the reopening?
either.
I'm curious on the roof repairs, if that has been scheduled yet, if you have any updates on that.
It is on, so the masonry is on their schedule. We did receive a quote from somebody that was approved by Scott and John and myself. They're very, very busy, and the weather is unpredictable. So we're on their schedule, and it'll get done in the next, I think, couple months, but I don't have an exact date for that. And then we are working with an architect to develop the bid documents and drawings that we need to get the rest of the roof repairs finished. So that'll be moving along in the next couple months as well.
Fantastic. That's great news. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else with questions or comments on the director's report?
Well, I did have a question. I think it indicates in the report that the roofing, let's see, there was an attachment. It says, please see their proposal included as a separate attachment. Was that included?
If it wasn't, I will send it out immediately after this meeting. I'll have to double check.
Thanks, Charles, because I made a note somewhere. There was something missing. That's why I wrote.
Was it missing? Okay.
missing. And then
Sorry about that. I will send it out as soon as we adjourn, and I'm not using both of my computers to stream a meeting.
No, that's okay. I think we can,
I apologize for that.
I think we can live without it for now, but it's really bad that I wrote something's missing and then I couldn't figure out why I wrote something's missing. So thank you. Thank you, Charles, for mentioning that, because now I understand what my note was. And
I
I
also
also,
wanted to add that I happened to have been there the day that we reopened and got to look around, and the building looks fantastic. It was so nice to see people in the building and see it in use and everything else, and see the staff and some of the things that have been moved around look great. I mean, the areas look great. The area, what do you call it? The battleships or whatever it was. And, you know, as you walk in the left where the new releases have always been, that got restructured and looks like it's always been that way. The carpet, I was expecting there to be a huge rectangle in the shape of the case that was moved. But there isn't. It got cleaned up great. So everything really came together well.
Thank you. And I forgot to say, Mitch was the first. He was the first patron through the door when we opened.
you win a prize?
He got to see Doc Taco.
Yes.
Well, I waited. I had to get till later in the week to go in and meet the dragon.
And I checked out a book with my iPhone, which is one of the new things that we can do.
That could happen here.
It might be a new thing you can do, Mitch. Sorry. And I just want to echo what Jen said about thanking the staff for all their hard work over the past year or more. It's been pretty crazy, and I am just impressed that they have survived, thrived. They managed to keep the place going and provide service to the people of the town. They did a wonderful job.
They're
And, you know,
amazing.
the curbside delivery, Kath and I have done curbside delivery with a lot of things over the past year, including groceries and Total Wine and
Ooh.
yeah. But the curbside delivery service at the library has been spectacular. Really, really a great service and extremely well done. And kudos to everyone on the staff for doing that.
Thank you. I'll pass that along to them because they worked really hard on those procedures, and they'll love the feedback.
Obviously, yep.
Great. All right. If there's nothing else, we're going to move to the report of the nominating committee.
As some of you may have seen prior to this, we approved the meeting minutes, which are also helpful to note in the meeting minutes of this meeting, so we don't have to have a continuously recurring over and over meeting of the nominating subcommittee just to approve the minutes again. However, the nominating committee met after the last trustees meeting last month and recommended absolutely no changes in the executive board makeup. So our recommendation is the chair continues as Michelle Rehill, the vice chair continues as myself, Mitch Cohen, secretary continues as Jim Hogan, and treasurer continues as Hamilton Soriano.
All right. Thank you. And if I remember correctly, you've submitted that to us so we see it and we can vote on it next month.
I believe
Correct.
that's the way we do things. Yeah.
Got it. I always this one always confuses me. I don't know why. I know it's very straightforward. It just doesn't seem logical to me. It's like, here we have it. Let's vote. Nope. All right. So thank you. So next month on the agenda, we're going to have the vote on the slate of officers for the trustees for the upcoming year. I think that was it. Are there any comments or anything, any questions about that?
Just want to thank all the existing officers for being willing to serve another year.
That's
I echo that. We appreciate the help. But the other members of the board, you know, we might ask you to step up for something. Find something else for you to do. That wasn't a threat. Is there any other business? Oh, wait, date of the next meeting. I think we're there, June 8th, 2021 at 7 p.m. And then I asked, is there any other business that may come before the board?
I have 2 items.
Okay.
They're,
Can I have one thing after?
I have a
who
question.
said that? I have 2 items. One is we've been trying to get a meeting of the Long Range Planning Committee. I've had a tough month behind me, and so I haven't had a chance to get a date set up. But the long range, I will be working with Jen in the next day or 2, and we'll work out some dates so that we will be able to meet before the next board meeting and then come back to the board with some things that the Long Range Planning Committee has been thinking about. That's number one. The second thing I wanted to bring up is we have an opening on the board right now. And because of Jocelyn's resignation, and I second what I heard earlier, is she's a great loss. She was a wonderful board member, and we need to lure her back at some point in the future. However, one of the MBLC sessions that I attended in March had to do with boards that recruit their own members, which is we sort of do. We recruit a member and then we recommend to the selectmen, and the selectmen actually make the appointment. And it was a very interesting session that we went through, and they talked about ways in which we can diversify our recruitment so that we end up with more diverse boards in every way, and that we end up with people who are really willing to serve on the board. So I'm going to suggest that sometime, perhaps at the next meeting, or if not then a meeting after that, that we have a conversation as a board as to how we might put together a more formal way of going out and recruiting new board members when we have openings. I'm not sure exactly how we do it now, but I think maybe we could think of something like having a standing subcommittee that would receive nominations from board members and from other members of the community, and vet them and have them in place that we could pass on to the selectmen when we do have an opening. But anyway, I think I'd like to see just a conversation, a board conversation at some point where we talk about how we go about replacing ourselves as board members leave. So that was my second point. That's all.
All right. We can consider that. The process is that when there's a vacancy, it's posted at town hall, and it's sort of done by the selectmen. The chair of the trustees does get to be in on the interviews, but it goes through the town. I don't know, other than, but, I understand your point. It's just trying to be more proactive when we know that there's an opening, but we don't always know when there will be one. But I just wanted to clarify how the process goes, really technically works.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But I think the MVLC was talking about, and I think they could help us. They were talking about ways in which we could be more proactive and have even a pool of potential candidates that we could talk about. But I would just like to see us talk about it, perhaps. And again, the issue they were talking about was figuring out ways in which we can make ourselves a more diverse body. We're doing pretty good here in Northborough in a way, but I think, we can always do better. So I just think I would like to see it as a board conversation.
Okay. All right. Did somebody else want to say something?
Yeah, me. I just wanted to lightly touch upon the development committee. I know we really haven't had a meeting in quite some time. Jocelyn just left. I think me and one other person that I don't remember who that person was, but they're not on the board as part of it. But I think we may want to pursue getting that started again, and I'd be willing to chair that committee at least.
Okay.
I mean, the last time we met was quite some time.
It has been a while. Maybe that's something that if you're willing to take that on, maybe you and Jen should have a conversation about that.
Mhm.
And see how you feel about, moving forward, what sorts of things. Because I know that's something that was started under the previous director, and I would like to see it be something that the current director is comfortable with. So if you two can chat about that, that would be great. Okay. Thanks for bringing that up. Was anybody else? Did anybody else have a comment, question? Wow. I don't remember the last time we've had this many other businesses come up before the board. if that is it, unless anybody else has any more questions, comments, concerns, I would accept a motion to adjourn. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
All right, is that Joan? All right,
Yes.
all right, I'll do roll call vote. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, Mitch Cohen,
Mitch Cohen, aye.
Jim Hogan,
Jim Hogan, aye.
Hamilton Soriano,
And Soriano, aye.
Nita Karanchkar,
Nita Karanchkarai.
Charles Recchia,
Charles Recchia, aye.
Joan Scott,
Joan Scott, aye.
Richard Tucker.
Richard Tucker, aye.
Michelle Rehill also says aye. The meeting is adjourned at 7:29 PM.